So we've added some information to the same problem that we had in lesson 1 about the Chamber of Commerce. So now we're going to do some hypothesis testing to see whether or not we believe that the Chamber of Commerce is using a correct claim, and that's what you see in kind of purplish blue color. So to go through the steps of hypothesis testing, you've already done 2 of the steps, and that is to write the claim in symbols, which was x equals 82. We go ahead and write the complement to that, not equals to 82. Because the claim had an equal sign to it, that made it the null hypothesis. That means the other one is the alternative hypothesis. And when it comes time to tell whether it's right-tailed, left-tailed, or two-tailed, we always look at the alternative hypothesis. A not equal to symbol indicates a two-tailed situation. So now we have to determine whether we're doing a Z or a T test. It has everything to do with your sample size. And so if we read through the problem, we collected data from 100 randomly selected days. So our sample size was 100. Because that was greater than 30, that means we're going to conduct a Z test. So let's go to video mode and show that. Hit your stat key to pull up your tests. Go over to tests. Z test happens to be the very first one, so we hit enter. Because we already have the mean and standard deviation, we are using statistics or stats, so we have that highlighted. Mu sub O wants to know what's the number in your null hypothesis statement, and in this case it was 82. The next is our symbol for standard deviation, and our standard deviation in this problem was 2.4. And X bar is your sample mean. It wants to know what's the mean of your sample. Ours was 83.1. And then it wants to, you got N your sample size. Well, we already have 100 typed in, so that works out great. We had 100 days in our sample, so N was 100. The next it wants to know basically, is it two-tailed, left-tailed, if the arrow is pointing to the left, or right-tailed? It wants to know, you get all that information from your alternative, your HA. Our HA symbol had the not equal to, so we highlight that. And we hit calculate. Remember, it doesn't matter whether your claim, what symbol is in your claim, it matters what symbol is in your HA statement. That's what you put there and calculate. So it spits out all this information here. What we're interested in is the p-value, and it says p equals 4.58. We round to 4.6. Now, stop for a minute. P is a probability. You know you can't have probability greater than 1. So when you see 4.5, scroll your eyes over and you should see that E with the -6. By now we're familiar with that and we know what that means. So 4.6 times 10 to the -6. All right. So we got a p-value of 4.6 times 10 to the -6, which means if you move that decimal 6 places to the left, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros and a 4, 6. So our p-value is tiny. So that's really step 4. So step 1, write the claim in symbols. Step 2, identify which is the null and hypothesis. Step 3 is identify whether it's two-tailed, left-tailed, or right-tailed. Step 4, I guess there's more than 5 steps probably. Well, anyway, step 4, determine what type of test, Z test or T test. In the next lesson you'll learn another one called a one-prop Z. Step 5, find the p-value. That's where you go to your technology, go to your computer and get the p-value. Now we're going to apply that golden rule, and that is, if your p-value is less than or equal to your level of significance, you get to reject the null. So my level of significance, and again, if you haven't noticed from your readings in the book, if you're not reading the readings in the book that are assigned, please make sure you're looking over those examples. That little symbol, it's the Greek letter for alpha. That represents this thing right here, the level of significance. Okay, so they gave us a level of significance of 0.05. And that's what they want us to compare our p-value to. In this case, our p-value is tiny. So yes, it is less than our level of significance of 0.05. So we checked that. Yes, that happens. So we are rejecting the null. We have determined that the null is not true. So that's the golden rule. And then you had that chart, your final decision about the claim chart. If you're not reading the assigned lessons in the book, it's important that you do so, because in lesson 2, before you were to watch this video, it said, go to a page in the book and copy down the information from that chart. It's really important you do that because that chart is how you get your final answer. So let me shrink this again so I have room to write that answer. Whoops. We'll shrink that and put that there. We'll shrink this. Sorry for wasting your time with my shrinking. Okay, so on your chart, in this case, we rejected the null hypothesis. So you go to that row, and then you have to determine which column you're in. It has to do with your claim. In this case, oh my gosh. Okay, there's a mouse. Oh. All right, well, I'm going to finish this video and then freak out. I hear it. Okay, sorry. In this case, our claim was an HO. Our claim was a null. And so in that chart that you copied down, the final decision about the claim, it says, if you were able to reject the hoe, that automatically means you had enough evidence. And in this case, you had enough evidence to reject the claim, which means based on your hypothesis testing, you have determined that the Chamber of Commerce's claim that the average temperature in the summers here is 82 degrees is not correct.